Hey guys, what's up? It's Jimmy, and a while back I talked about Pokemon Puzzle League for the Nintendo 64, so I thought today I'd talk about its sibling, Pokemon Puzzle Challenge for the Game Boy Color. How does it compare to the N64 game? Let's find out. Pokemon Puzzle Challenge was Japan's answer to our Pokemon Puzzle League. Because Puzzle League contained an entire soundtrack based off the 2B Master album for the 4Kids dub of the Pokemon anime, it had been rather strange for Japan to get the same game as us because of how much it caters to the English-speaking fans. Thus, Japan got a version on the Game Boy Color, which instead of being based around the anime, was based around the second generation Pokemon games, Pokemon Gold and Silver, which we wouldn't get over here in America for another month or so. It was released in Japan on September 21st, 2000, just 4 days before we got Puzzle League, and then in the US just a few months later on December 4th. I guess you could say we got the better end of the deal. We got 2 great puzzle games in 1 year. But then when you realize how similar the games are, you don't feel so good about that. But let's move on. When you start up the game and get to the main menu, you have multiple options awaiting you. Of course, you have your standard things like records and options here. Let's check out single player. In single player, you could play through a marathon mode, which is just seeing how long you can go before the blocks reach the top of the screen on multiple stages. That can be unlocked in challenge mode. Speaking of challenge mode, that's where our main story of the game is. While the N64 title followed Ash Ketchum's challenge of the Pokemon Puzzle League in Puzzle League Village, lame, Puzzle Challenge follows Pokemon Trainer Gold across his journey through the Johto region, battling each gym leader along the way. Now I think that's a cooler plot. You can play through the challenge on 3 different difficulties. The final boss changes depending on which difficulty you choose. But be warned, the game is no walk in the Pal Park. Go ahead and laugh at me, but I had a good amount of trouble with the game on normal difficulty. I'm not very good at video games, okay? The gameplay is pretty much the exact same as Puzzle League, which was essentially Tetris Attack, but with Pokemon. You move blocks around to try and get at least 3 in a row. The more blocks you connect and clear, the higher your score will be. In the challenge matches though, your objective is not just clearing blocks, it's also defeating a gym leader's Pokemon. You'll need to connect at least 4 blocks in a row or more to do damage to your foe. In Puzzle League, you get a view of your opponent's screen as well as your own in each match to check up and see how far along they are and what else you can do to beat them. However, because of the smaller screen of the Game Boy Color, you can't see what your opponent is doing or how much progress they've made. That's an understandable and reasonable change. My only gripe with the gameplay really is also one I had for Puzzle League. You can't move your blocks around vertically. Yes, that increases the challenge and strategy of it all, but I would have probably been better at the game and had a little bit more fun with it if it gave you the ability to do so. Besides the marathon and challenge modes, there's also a puzzle mode, where you need to clear the entire screen with a limited amount of times you can move the blocks. It's a neat mode to pass the time with. There's also a timed mode, where you need to clear as many blocks as you can in a certain amount of time. Again, it's a neat little inclusion. And the last single player mode is line clear. In this mode, you need to clear all the blocks from above this white line. It's pretty self-explanatory. There's a white line, make combos and move blocks around to make sure no blocks are on top of it. Simple as that. It can get pretty difficult though. The music for Puzzle Challenge is based off the soundtrack of Pokemon Gold and Silver. The main menu's theme is a great remix of the Pokemon Center's theme. The music that plays for each match are different variants of town themes like Azalea Town and my personal favorite, Mahogany Town. And don't even get me started on the remix of Lance's theme. Here, have a listen. I actually prefer it to the original version in Gold and Silver, and I think it's great that you can listen to all these songs in the options menu if you want to. This game actually has one of my favorite Pokemon soundtracks, not just out of all the spin-offs, but even the main games a little bit too. But even though the songs are great, you are going to get sick of them after a while, seeing as they'll be reused for various matches and modes quite often. Again, I'm not complaining about the quality of the songs here, I'm just a little upset at the lower variety of them, especially compared to Puzzle League, seeing as it only had the 2B Master soundtrack to work with, while Puzzle Challenge had all of Gold and Silver's soundtrack at its disposal. The presentation is really great as well. For a simple puzzle game on the Game Boy Color, they did a great job of making each sprite pop and the colors very vibrant. The animations are nice and it's pretty cool to see all the little Pokemon laugh each time you win. However, it is a puzzle game, so don't expect anything jaw-dropping. Still, for what it is, it's pleasing to the eyes. Also, Professor Oak is giving you the most badass look on the menu screen. That's pretty cool. The game does offer a good amount of replay value, by giving you the chance to raise high scores in the marathon mode and go through challenge mode on higher difficulties. It'll definitely add more hours to the time you spend with the game, not to mention the other modes that you can play through also. The game also has 2-player support, but since it requires a person with another copy of the game, another Game Boy Color, and a Game Boy Link cable, I didn't get to experience it. I don't think it would be the preferable option for 2-player matches anyway, even back when the game was released, seeing as it was more cost effective, less time consuming, and easier to set up a match on the N64 title. Overall, I think Pokemon Puzzle Challenge is a great puzzle game. It's good to take on the go or just play at home if you want. I do think it is a better option than its N64 sibling, but not by much. It's a great game, but it does fall short in a few areas. However, I can look past some of its faults because of how well it performs in other areas. I give Pokemon Puzzle League an 8.5 out of 10, and I definitely hope it gets an eShop re-release sometime soon. Thank you all so much for watching this video, and I'll see you all next time with more videos.